That this was the tail end election.
Yes.
We had super elections from the village, 72,000 villages. And no one wants to talk about that when the blame game shifts without apportioning responsibility fairly. We had the election from the village, 72,000 villages. They voted their 30 leaders very well. Actually, the whole process started with a register being taken to the village on 6th May for people to actually check whether their names are in the register. Every village was so wonderful. It was done so wonderfully in every village that you go, you check for your name, you find the details are not enough, you actually add details and make sure you have all your details captured. Thereafter, I called for the first election, which is the structure of the party. To me, that is the basic election where people do things the right way. And that election had no problem. We moved to the parish, the sub-county. Then once we reached the district, now the money flow comes in. The influence factor comes in. The big people now start showing that we are now here. And the mess starts. The advantage I have as a chair of the commission is that this commission is answerable to SEC. And for whatever we do, we must present to SEC. I presented regulations to SEC. I presented our thinking as electoral commission to SEC. And I'll come to that in other depth. One of the things as electoral commission we suggested is that let's decentralize the election. Good enough, Honorable Chris is a member of SEC. Because we had the experience of COVID, where we voted him. This was his first term in SEC. The experience of COVID, we didn't assemble in Kololo. We actually had virtual election and we had smooth election. Our thinking was, why don't we decentralize this election to the 18 sub-regions? We have Teso, we have Bukedi. Bukedi with 7 districts come together, vote, and we collect the results and announce at Kololo. Why was I intending that? You do not need to bring everybody to Kololo. Bring the cream de la cream, who will now vote the SEC or the other leaders at Kololo. I even wanted that for the youth election. That let's decentralize this election. Not to bring these people together in a place like Kololo, which, according to me, in all meetings, was not right for that election.
So what failed your suggestions?
SEC is over to us. What we present to SEC would even be shot down before you mention the second sentence. And I'm free to talk. I'm free to say this because it's there.
No, I think some of us will that view of the decentralizing, but we never had that discussion.
Let me tell you, read all the documents I gave you. You know what belittles me is that you actually burn the midnight candle to try to bring things to SEC, the SEC which is outgoing or outgone. But they would go into just 2 things and then shoot everything down. You remember when we had SEC meeting in the plot 10? I brought the yardstick parameters that not everybody should become a SEC member. I said, what about if we put these standards?
Which standards?
I said, well, let's track record of a person. At least let's look at the track record of a person.
You almost sound like you're saying vetting the person.
When you are going to monitor whether there are no
yes, because
standards.
this SEC should vet the candidates.
When they end up with the
But what would they use for vetting the candidates if electoral commission does not give them a temporary whatever for them to adopt?
What was the
guideline
criteria you felt a person should meet to qualify to sit?
One of this is contribution to the party. We are not on what the Right Honorable Kadaga said, that you must have been 10 years. No, what have you done for the party?
How would you measure that?
Good.
But the presentation of the candidate enables you to measure to an extent.
No. Some of the measurements that were being said is bringing 10 members from the opposition. Is that a measurement?
What is wrong with that? Being a contribution.
How tangible is that to
what
the development
is wrong
of the party?
with her saying, the short time I've been here, I have done the following. And one of it is to convert some people into the party.
So that's a sustainable measure as a yardstick.
That is one thing you can measure, use to say this person is active.
So what guideline would you give?
The guidelines I wanted to give is not what I'm going to give you here, because it was shut down by SEC. We had even gone deep. I think SEC was partly right. I said, what about if you find someone's financial? What about if you get, you remember? What about if you get someone's record from Interpol? What about, I gave them a set of measures. Not that those were rigid measures, but for them to actually sieve out so that somehow we can have something to benchmark on and then say, let us evaluate people along this.
So who would be in charge of evaluating the people?
The committee of SEC.
Oh, okay.
Because any vetting is by SEC. The SEC who have candidates had again the right to vet the candidates. Because most of the SEC members were candidates. But they were, by the constitution, they are the ones supposed to vet.
So
But
Dr.
vetting
Tanga
wasn't the
Odoi,
biggest
so
problem
you
in this
agree
case.
with Chris's criticism that the election was poorly managed?
No. You know, the management
Because
of election
your
is
argument
something.
was that it was, you had asked it to be decentralized, it wasn't. And the mess is talking about, therefore, is a consequence of them turning down.
Mine is a trajectory. That's how I present myself, unfortunately. Mine is a trajectory. At the end, you apportion, all of you must blame yourself for a failure. I'm not that type of person who will say, Chris failed me. The Electoral Commission failed. It is a long process before election. When they agreed to the measures I put, that before you express interest, you must do the following. You must do the following. Did you see comedians coming for forms in Plot 10?
Staying with you,
In
Dr.
Plot
Tanga,
13.
what were the guidelines of counting